Good evening. We begin tonight with a possible government U-turn on devolution for East Anglia. The original plan was a partnership between Norfolk, Suffolk and Cambridgeshire with one directly elected mayor. But right from the start, Cambridgeshire and many of its MPs have not been keen. Tonight, Look East understands the government has bowed to pressure and is willing to consider a new proposal. Here's our political correspondent, Andrew Sinclair.
It started nearly 2 years ago with an early morning announcement. Scotland had just voted to stay in the United Kingdom after a promise of greater devolution.
Just as the people of Scotland will have more power over their affairs, so it follows that the people of England, Wales and Northern Ireland must have a bigger say over theirs.
The idea behind devolution is that Whitehall transfers some of its powers to local people over things like planning, health services, transport, flood defences, perhaps even local taxation. Norfolk and Suffolk were interested, and local councillors and business leaders made numerous journeys to London to meet with ministers.
I think what it is an opportunity for us to take more local control. And what we know is when you take more locally based decisions, quite often you make better decisions.
But the government felt Norfolk and Suffolk were too small on their own for devolution and suggested they go in with Cambridgeshire. Councillors there were reluctant to join in until the local government secretary paid them a visit and persuaded them to change their minds.
We've agreed a single powerful East Anglia combined authority headed up by an elected mayor.
The deal was announced in the budget, but almost immediately there was opposition from councillors and MPs. The idea of a mayor overseeing all three counties, one of the main objections. But until recently, the government kept insisting that it was not prepared to compromise on the original proposal.
What is stopping us from going back to the drawing board and having what I think would work for all of us, Suffolk and Norfolk, Cambridgeshire, Peterborough, Huntingdon?
A deal has been agreed on a geography that has been agreed. It is not the intention of the government to reopen discussions of geography.
Last week, most of the councils in Cambridgeshire proposed such a deal. 2 authorities and 2 mayors, one for Cambridgeshire and Peterborough and one for Norfolk and Suffolk. Today they were told that the government was prepared to consider the plan. This is by no means a done deal. I am told that there are still serious concerns which need to be addressed. But tonight there is a feeling that the deadlock may have been broken. Andrew Sinclair, BBC Look East.
Now, you saw in Andrew's report there the South Cambridgeshire MP Heidi Allen suggesting new boundaries for devolution a few weeks ago and being flatly refused. Well, she joins us this evening. It seems they may be rethinking your proposal. How does that feel?
Well, it's not just my proposal. There were an awful lot of us that have felt like this from the very beginning. So, if we do have the tentative first signs of a deal that would work for the whole area in a better way, then, yeah, I'm absolutely delighted. But as Andrew said in his report, there's still some way to go in terms of ironing out the detail.
Why do you and many other Cambridgeshire councillors and MPs think that a union with just Peterborough would work better?
Well, for many reasons. It's a local economy that naturally has synergy and works together. And in terms of having an elected mayor to oversee that area, what none of us could get our heads around, and the public as well, how one mayor could be over such a huge area with Suffolk and Norfolk too. How can one mayor possibly make decisions about strategic things on roads, on schools, on transport, where to build houses? It just didn't sort of make sense from an operational point of view. So I think local control, we have one heck of an economy in the Cambridgeshire region. We need to be able to manage that and gather the power from that ourselves without potentially diluting it too far across a too large a region.
But actually, do you think that, boundaries aside, we really need another layer of authority in between the local councils and the government?
Yeah, and that's an interesting one. And I remember thinking in the debate that you showed a small clip from, that as MPs, it's almost like we're turkeys voting for Christmas, actually, because it would be an interesting relationship. And like all these things, I'm not sure. That's one area I still need to be convinced on. But if it's somebody fighting your corner that can take a strategic view over the whole, Cambridge and Peterborough region, then that's perhaps not a bad idea. As MPs, we do work together as colleagues, but like all these things, sometimes having somebody above who can see, the pros and cons, there might be some mileage in that. But yes, it is probably the most difficult thing for us to get over. That and affordable housing, that's still something that's very much on the drawing board.
Well, time is against us, but I must just ask you, you say there are things that still need to be ironed out. What is the key issue here, you think, that we need to get over?
Affordable housing. We have a unique situation in South Cambridge and the city, not unlike the City of London, in fact, and that house prices are spiralling out of the grasp of good-earning people, never mind modest wages. We have to have more control over how we build affordable housing, traditional council housing, shared ownership. You know, the model that works for the rest of the country doesn't work for us. And the housing bill that was passed just last week gives us some issues. So a devolution deal that allows us to unlock that for local people so they can afford to live and work here, that absolutely is the critical issue for us.
Heidi Allen, thank you very much indeed for your time tonight.